it is Megan, also known as Reading with Hot Chocolate, and I am here today to review Casey McQuiston's The Pairing, and I just have to show off the edition because it's kind of fancy. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a sucker for a sprayed edge. I think I've talked about it before, but it's cute. All right, so let's break it down, shall we? Most of us know Casey McQuiston from Red, White, and Royal Blue, some of our favorite book boyfriends. Even though they probably wouldn't date me, but that's fine. They're still great. But we're not here to talk about them today. We're going to talk about Theo and Kit. So Theo and Kit are a couple. They have been friends forever. They grew up together, they started dating, and then they get together and they're like, hey, we should go on this trip. And so they go on the trip and they get in a fight on the way to the trip. And Theo goes back home, Kit moves to Paris, and they're both just trying to get on with their lives. Theo is kind of working to become a sommelier, and she's being very fancy and learning about all these different wines. And the trip they were supposed to go on was like a food and wine tour of Europe. They're from California. I don't think I said that before. So they are ready for this trip. Fight breaks out. Theo goes home. Kit deuces out to Paris. But they still have a voucher. They both still have a voucher for the trip. And the voucher is only good for like 4 years, which really, honestly, that's a really long time for a travel voucher to be good. So kudos to whatever company that is, because most of them aren't good that long. And of course, because it's the only way, they both decide to redeem the travel voucher for the exact same trip. Theo gets there and she ends up going to like a pub. There's a football match on and she's like behind the bar and like the bartender's like, who are you? And she's like, don't worry about it, I got this. So then she goes, gets on the bus. She's almost late. She almost misses the bus. And as she's walking down the bus aisle, who should be at the end of the aisle other than Kit, of course. So this is a second chance romance for sure. And they're both kind of trying to play it cool. Everybody on the tour thinks that like they're gonna hook up or they're gonna be together. And of course, people on the tour don't know the past. And they decide that they're gonna be friends. They're gonna make this trip work because they both really want to do it and eat their way across Europe and just experience all the food and all the wine and all the great stuff. But they decide to do a little bet. Not even a bet, really, a game. Who can hook up with the most people along the tour? In the towns, like locals. Not people on the tour, but locals they meet. So it kind of feels weird, because you're like, this is weird, like you two just need to get back together because there's vibes and everybody senses the vibes. But this is kind of their way of dealing. And we quickly learn that Theo is still in love with Kit. Kit's still in love with Theo. They're just not on the same page yet. So we gotta work to get them there. And we do find out that Theo is actually non-binary. They go by they. I addressed her as she at the beginning because there was no descriptor until you get to the point where she becomes they to the characters in the story. So Theo comes out as non-binary. And of course, they and Kit get into some spicy time because they're on a tour together for weeks in Europe. They're not going to be able to resist each other. So they, of course, end up hooking up. And I will say, the only thing I didn't love about this book was I know a lot about Europe, but I don't know a lot about like really fancy European foods and wines. And I didn't feel like stopping to Google every chapter to see what the actual hell they were eating and drinking. So I did knock it down half a star because I just didn't have enough reference point for the food. I'm sure it was great food, and if I had more time, I probably could go through and Google it, and I might know what some of those foods are. So I did knock it down half a hot chocolate, because around here, I grade in hot chocolate cups, because I'm reading with hot chocolate. I gave this book 3.5 hot chocolates because, like I said, I felt like the necessity to Google food was kind of overwhelming. It does give you really cool chapter beginnings where it tells you like food and drinks to pair together. Obviously, the pairing. So it's kind of a play on the title, which I thought was cool. I just wasn't going to spend the time to Google. And that's on me. Maybe some people Googled. If you did, let me know in the comments, because I would love to know if other people had the same issue. One of my really good friends read it. She also felt the same way, that felt like you had to Google and it was a lot of work. So I did knock it down half of a hot chocolate mug because of that. But overall, it's a great second chance romance. Theo is finding themselves and finding what they want to do with their lives. Kit is also reevaluating what he wants to do. He wanted to be like a pastry chef and all these things, and that's why he moved to Paris. And he's kind of stuck as like a pastry assistant. So the two of them reconnecting kind of really forces them to evaluate themselves. You also find out that the breakup didn't go quite the way that Theo thought it did. So you finally get both sides of the breakup instead of just Theo's perspective. So that's kind of super interesting. And overall, it was a fun little journey. I liked it. Do I like it as much as I loved Red, White, and Royal Blue? No. But I still really, really enjoyed it. I think Red, White, and Royal Blue is like a comfort read, and so is the movie. So maybe if they make a movie of the pairing, it'll move itself up a little bit. But it was still a really good story about a second chance romance and finding your own identity and finding out who you're gonna be and who you want to be and where that is. Is it in LA? Is it in Europe? Is it somewhere completely different? Because we all know the urge to pack up and move to Europe is often high. I, for one, will see videos on TikTok that are like, here's Edinburgh in the snow. And I'm like, great, can I go right now? Like, is it snowing right now? How do I get there? Can I teleport? Is it possible? So being able to kind of journey with our characters through that was fun. Also, their hookups were kind of fun because you could know, like, they were trying to outdo each other, even though it was more of, I'm trying to make them jealous. So that was kind of cool. They thought that the tour guide wanted to do a threesome with them because he's so friendly, and then they find out that he's married, and that is not at all what he wanted. He was just being nice and European, so that was a lot of fun. Overall, I gave it a 3 chili pepper rating because it is pretty descriptive in those spicy scenes. And like I said, 3.5 hot chocolate mugs. I would love to know what people's thoughts are on The Pairing by Casey McQuiston. So tell me in the comments, and make sure you don't forget to like and subscribe and check back every week for new videos about reviews and bookish adventures in general. I'll see you soon. Bye.